of my realm of painting, the character or any paintings I do is a message carrying is sex and death. But sex is just beginning of life. So I guess like a life and death.
Yeah. In this week's episode, we're diving into the nuances of femininity, vulnerability, and strength as depicted in fine art. We'll also explore how an artist's perception of their own work evolves with success, and the journey from street art to full-scale, unapologetic portraits. Joining me is the talented SAKI, a Japanese fine artist renowned for her powerful celebration of womanhood, with exhibitions in Tokyo, London, San Francisco, and Barcelona. Welcome, Saki.
Hi, Veronica. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you.
We were speaking a bit before we started recording about our initial, introduction, how we met. And I'm so honored to have you here today, especially because of the artwork that you create. It's so powerful and it's definitely needed, especially in a time like this where a lot of women or people that identify as female presenting, how hard it is to sometimes feel recognized or seen. So thank you so much for the work that you create, but also for being here.
Thank you so much. It's just too generous. Introduction, maybe like a brush, like too kind. Thank you so much.
But for those who are unfamiliar with your work, could you give us an introduction to you, but also just to your work and where your journey started?
There's a quite a bit of journey, but
yeah.
let's get to it. No, but I wanted to actually explain that. So I'm Saki, and I'm a Japanese painter based currently in London. I guess where to start? My artist career started as a street artist in 2009 in London. So I moved to London from Tokyo in 2009. Okay. And then that time I encountered street art, and I never really think to do it, but that time I kind of get to know about street art world.
Yeah.
And then from that, getting things more like a bigger scale thing, and I started to painting on canvas and switching off properly to canvas. So around 2018, I mainly just do the canvas painting.
Okay.
And then shifted to more of the fine art.
Okay.
And now I am doing the work I do.
Okay. What drew you originally to creating street art first? And then how did that experience and practice shaped your artistic journey?
I think I never really aim anything. It sounds crazy, but I to looking back, so I coincidentally basically met my friends now, but then the people who are sharing the studio space.
Yeah.
And then that time I started to say, wow, okay, people making stuff for themselves. Because before then, the original reason why I moved to London, because I was makeup artist.
Okay.
And for the high fashion, like fashion world. So I was living in New York, back to Tokyo, but I couldn't really go back to America because I didn't have a visa.
Okay.
And then purely that's the reason I never been to London. I don't have no friends in London. But okay, maybe I just go to London and then somehow get back to New York because I loved New York.
Okay.
But so then I always thinking, so street art and fashion world, especially back then, it's completely different things, or art in general and the fashion world is different because fashion is for mass, but artists is creating things for themselves or for the viewers, but very different. It doesn't need to be fashionable, like current.
Yeah.
So that was like the first things I realized, met those people in East London, like creating whatever they wanted to create. And that was like a kind of sort of culture shock to me. It's like, oh, wow. So I started to, my ex-boyfriend, he just handed to me like a blank like a probably like business card size like sticker, like
Okay.
white blank sticker. So
Yeah.
I just start doodling it and then put it on the street, just for
Nice.
like a joke, just
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And then street art photographers, some of the people actually taking picture, and then I seen those on the Flickrs. I don't know if people know about Flickr.
Yeah. I actually know about Flickr. Yeah.
I'm worried. Flickrs, and I realized like, wow, okay, am I doing a street art?
Yeah.
So purely, I just wanted to kind of do the better thing for those people, somehow kind of taking picture of my stuff.
Okay.
Then also I started having the joy of seeing my skill getting better.
Yeah.
And that's how I actually get into it. It's nothing really serious, to be honest, first.
Okay.
But then meeting other street art painters, graffiti painters, and then they taught me how to spray paint. That's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's just how it started.
So I guess the evolution from being a street artist to becoming now a painter, what was that like? Like what was that shift then initially?
Yes, I think probably I was enjoying it, the street art.
Yeah.
But there definitely the limitation, because subject-wise, I only wanted to paint the female figure. Especially back then, I was painting like nude, like a very curvy, quite voluptuous female characters.
Yeah.
Because somehow, I know the reason now, but somehow that's the only thing I'm really interested in painting.
Okay.
And that means on the street art, like I painting those sexy like lady characters on the street. Some of the time I took probably a whole day painting, and then next morning it's already painted over or censored and like nipples.
Yeah.
But it's fair. It was fair. I wasn't really feeling like I didn't take it personal. I was thinking, yeah, it's fair because it's a street, public.
It's a public place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like if somebody didn't want to see, I totally understand. But same time, then I'm spending money to get in like spray tins.
It's a lot of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, doesn't make really sense. Also, I can't really develop the skill I wanted to develop with a spray paint. I'm not really good at it, probably. Also, to make it those female character expression, I couldn't really get it. So I started to painting inside on a canvas to see how I can get more like a brush up my skills. Yeah.
Do you know what your fascination is with wanting to depict the female figures in all of your work?
I guess because I obviously always fascinated by the female like figure, like faces. I was makeup artist, so I always interested in the female energy and structure and everything. But that from to get to really over sexualize a female figure, that I really didn't know back then.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people. I hope I'm actually like getting to the point, but I'm getting.
Yeah, no. Take your time. Take your time.
But I guess like that was the question I get as well. Like back then when I was in street art, because for me almost it's super normal. Somehow I was like, yeah, I do want to paint the like overly sexualized female characters.
Okay.
But for the other people, there wasn't much of the like nudity on the street. And they didn't know the female artist was doing it because I was painting like anonymously. I didn't show my face and anything.
Yeah.
But when I meet them at my show or something, they always ask like, okay, what's the reason behind it?
Yeah.
And I say, I don't know. I like it. And or people say, oh, you're feminist, like free nipples. I say, yeah, of course. But I really didn't really know what's the answer.
Yeah.
But that was still probably 4 years. Actually, 4 years ago. Yes.
Okay.
I started to realize like, this is connected to something deeper than just I'm a feminist. So I think
Yeah.
I think female overly sexualized female character is just my expressing my own. Sorry, I'm trying to get into the word.
Because it's a very personal thing.
Yes.
And it's it's also a journey for you, I guess, when you're like exploring something.
Yes.
And you're now confronted with, oh, I really like this type of style, and it becomes your signature.
Yes.
I also feel like you don't have to explain yourself, because sometimes you just don't know. It comes to you naturally, and that's what you want to do, and you feel good doing it. And other people recognize the strength, and they feel represented. That's fine. You know.
Yeah, but I think you're quite right about I was quite surprised that the people actually see the strength from those like a female figure I painted.
Yeah.
Only because, again, I didn't really know why I was doing it. And then that's come from my own trauma and then my history of sexual violence. And then those things, I think it was blessing almost to find out later. I wasn't aiming to express those like a pain and trauma or like a process of healing. So when you look at, actually, I did take down most of the street art pieces from my Instagram, so people don't see it.
Okay.
But when you compare my street art, this overly sexualized character, to now, I was thinking that because I just skilled up. I thought like my painting skills blushed up, but I realized it's not that. It's actually my view or perception of my own sexuality or femininity changed along the side of healing and transformation of my own femininity or sexuality more like. So that's the hope. Like I did answer the first question, but these are the things, probably the original reason I needed to express my sexuality, femininity through this female character I am painting. Because I didn't have a voice there. I didn't even think about it at all. Back then.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I guess, how has your artistic perspective now on your own work changed after having all of these different exhibitions in different countries and having collectors now? Having collectors buy your work as well.
I think that was quite interesting. First of all, I wasn't really aiming to become like artist or painter. Or I never thought like I can make money from this. I was honestly having a good time, especially street art times, or even like I started painting on campus. I was just enjoying it myself. And so when I found out somebody actually buying my art, that was like a really like, again, like sort of like culture shows, like, wow, really?
Yeah.
And it's still today, to be honest, I never really, I'm always grateful for it.
Yeah.
But that I started to feel, I guess, the perception towards my own like creative person or artist itself, I guess, changes because of like somebody actually resonating with my stories or my view towards femininity and sexuality, that I started to recognize more and more once doing a show, exhibition, and then people actually sending lovely messages to me.
Nice.
Well,
what is the most common thing that someone has told you about your work?
I think exactly like you said. So, you mentioned about this strengths and vulnerability. It's almost crazy that both obviously like a completely opposite thing.
It's just like an oxymoron. It's like, how do the two exist within one sentence about a piece?
But I guess like these are beauty and then the strength. and then to be vulnerable, obviously, to be vulnerable is beautiful and it's strong as well.
Yeah.
And those are probably the common message I get. And then mostly, of course, female audience probably really give me something. I guess we all have somewhat of like a experience we might have in the society, and then female presenting individuals probably gone through certain like difficulties or challenges in this world. Then I guess somehow, even though without my explanation, I don't talk about these on like a explanation for my actual pieces. So but they get it somehow, so they kind of resonate with those emotion, I guess, the feelings of that they give off.
It's a visual language, you know.
Exactly.
It's also like a way of your viewer is projecting whatever it is that they experience and how they see and view the world and how they interact with those different concepts. And it's kind of like reflected back to them based on what their frame of reference is, you know.
100%.
So it's like interesting to like, yes, you don't have to explicitly say, this is what it means. This is what I'm trying to convey. If people already have some kind of similar experience, they might pick that up in your own work. So I think that's, you know, that's the power of art, you know. So I love that.
You know, what's a great thing about it is like that reflection back to me, and then I almost like viewers or like a lovely people who actually felt something reported back to me. Then I thought,
it's nice. It's like an artist to say, yes, you got it.
Exactly. That's I love
stuff like that.
I love it.
You also incorporate elements of classical paintings, or what people would consider a classical painting. You incorporate such elements in your work, as well as mythology and, you know, Japanese art, traditional Japanese art. How does all of these different elements that you are influenced by, how does that come together in like a piece?
So I was actually thinking this on the way to the studio. I realized, and this is kind of similar thing as we were just saying about this bouncing backs of reflecting each other, viewers and artists. Also, I realized like why I do this, because again, anytime I always think about the reason, I always come to because I like it. But there's deeper than that. I started to learn it as meanings, or at least like something more to it. And I realized like there is the sort of universal like tales or stories in this world, in a different generation, different place in the world, any different continent, different country, any race, everything. I started to realize those things when I'm really into astrology or Greek myth. So when I actually started to study those, and then when I looking back my own, work or like my Japanese myth or like old mythology, there is like similar characters or similar stories, like a completely different time or country. Those are the similar stories we as a human being shares across the world and across the centuries or millennia. Then I think when I see particular painting telling those mythical story, we felt particular feelings, and I think unconsciously I'm choosing those feelings because that feeling is resonate what I'm trying to express. So that's how I probably pick particular visual, for example, iconography or color choices, composition. But other time when I actually search the story, not that somebody's painted, but actual story, then that might be resonate with the feeling I try to express on the canvases. So that's how I choose, just purely what visual image can resonate with what I wanted to express. So it depends on, I guess.
So for each piece is completely different. Like the process is different. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess also something that I wanted to ask you, what message do these figures carry in your work?
Okay.
Do you have a specific message for all of them as well?
I think core message, or like fundamentally all of my realm of painting, the character or any paintings I do, is a message carrying is sex and death. But sex is just beginning of life, so I guess like a life and death.
Yeah. I love how you just like phrase that.
Oh,
sex and death.
Exactly. That's really like a gothy method. I don't know, but I guess that's a two very big impact in my life. So I lost my father, and then I had a experience with sexual violence. So two of the very shocking, traumatic event.
Yeah.
That I try to, I guess, like understand. So that whatever I paint always comes down to, but not the particular two of this subject itself, but it's just life as a whole. I try to understand human being.
Yeah.
The power they hold, or the victimization from the power. Those things is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And that's how I probably try to understand this world, and also myself as well. So that's the theme, or that's the message they carry, or I hope they carry that.
Yeah. Okay, that's quite interesting. So the victimization of the power. So do you mean like, is it like a certain energy then?
Yes, sorry. I actually stopped. I did stop there, but there's a fact of there's a sort of victimized by power.
Okay.
But then that person is a victim, but the strengths of them. I shouldn't stop it. Just victimized person. Actually, I try to depict the power of the circumstances that the people's in, those victim of the power. I hope I'm
no, it makes sense.
So then also I experienced the transformation afterwards, healing afterwards. That's the message.
Okay,
that's better way to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No.
Sorry.
Because also when I revisit your work, I'll be able to like see it in a slightly different light again. But yeah, I think I had a sense of that as well. Because I remember when I went to the exhibition where I saw your work for the first time, I went to an exhibition with a friend, and it was a lineup of different artists, all visual artists. And when I came across your work, one of the characters reminded me of like, what would be kind of like an assassin, you know?
I love
it's like,
that.
But it was like, it's really strange to even explain this, but like someone who is an agent of like moral compass and justice, and if that is not respected, then she will be one of the people that would make sure that things are just. When people think of assassins, or when I think of an assassin, I don't think of someone who is moral. Who, they come to kill, whatever the reason is, and I'm not saying like we should justify killings, but my sense of it was like she was an assassin, but it was based on a moral ground, or moral high ground. Like it wasn't like what is just, what is unjust. If something that is unjustly done, or if there's some kind of injustice, I would recognize her as someone that will be the one to make things right again in a way. Even if that would mean taking something away from nature, if that makes sense. I don't want to make this look really like, make it really dark, but
that's why I always love to hear from what people think, thought about from my work, because again, once I produce my stuff, I just don't explain. Like, I love to hear what people interpreted it. And then almost like that is the point. I can hear your story.
Yeah.
Like,
my this story. Is a lot about myself. I've exposed myself now.
That's like, but no, that's actually the joy and the beauty of it. And then I think you say about the just, and then that's probably, I think why you might feel is because I guess I've been always trying to balance it out. Something is very off balance by whatever the reason, whatever circumstances, whatever the fate, and then whatever the, karma.
Yeah.
The thing is not balanced. So I always trying to balance it out, like to be just. So I think you might feel that because sometimes you have to go quite far.
Yeah.
To get the just, or sometimes you can be very calm and then get the just or harmony. Yeah. So I definitely always try to bring those how to probably feel right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
After something unfortunate happened. Yeah.
You also use different medium. Well, I wouldn't say mediums, but you use different materials in order to express the stories that you want to convey in your work. And I actually wanted to know a bit more, like, how do you decide what type of material you use in your paintings?
I think because I don't have any formal background for art education, so everything I've been doing is a self-taught. And then for that, what I was doing is when I see some painter I like, I imitate them. I try to see how they do it or what they use.
Okay.
So particularly gold is Klimt used gold a lot. So I really love how he used the gold. So I started using it.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize, this gives this kind of feeling. So when I want to do this feeling of the painting, I do the same way, or choosing more of the sort of sign or symbol, I guess.
Okay.
That choosing a particular color, red or gold or white or black, more like to me is a symbolic. Okay. When I doing a mythical painting. Yeah. But when I doing a more because there's a two way I usually choose, either mythical sort of fantastical way of portraying, so that's fictional world. But I do the self-portrait or either portraying somebody for real. That time I try to do realistic. Okay. But when I do fantastical a world of painting, I choose colors because more like a symbolic sign of something. Okay. Yeah.
So it's like the concept informs which kind of materials you want to use. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Also love gold leaf, so it's really beautiful just to see that,
I love to.
It just gives me regal vibes, So every time I see that, I was like, yeah, I really like this. How do you start with a piece?
Okay, this is a very good question because again, I am so not maybe you can see from what I'm talking. I really hope people understand because I am not much of the word person. So everything in my head
is very intuitive and emotional.
I guess so. I really hope because sometimes I really don't know how people are writing. I'm not a reader. I don't read at all. At all. I should read a little more, but I don't. But so when you asked me this question, really made me put it into the word, which is amazing because I'm unconsciously doing this process. Okay. So first is all about feeling. So when I have particular feelings I wanted to express, I basically really feel that feel, then an image or either color or shape, or could it be some of the story I heard before about mythical story, or either certain visual somehow resonate with the feeling. Yeah. So then, that is the kind of painting. It's almost coming up into my head. Okay. Then I might started to pose myself to take a picture, what kind of posing is good, or I just search particular painting that is similar to what I was visualizing in my head.
Okay.
But most of the time, I already know what kind of expression this person would have, or what kind of pose, or what kind of setups, background, if there is.
Yeah.
So I just go from it, but all come from the feeling, just a little fragments of the feeling I felt that comes to like visual in my head.
Yeah. Okay. So the feeling informs the image.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you isolated, or do you want to do you put yourself in like a space where you completely cut off all of the other senses, or is it just like it could be in your bedroom and then
it could be anytime.
Just like
it's almost interesting, and also it's quite interesting that even though I said like I'm not the words person, or I'm not really good at talking or explaining with a word, but then when I hear somebody saying some word, some might be triggered the image, or like one word can like change things. So it could be anywhere, to be honest, but not really focusing on every day, like, I need to come up with it. Unless like a show. Yeah. I really kind of focus on like really delivering, like putting myself into the isolation to come up with a particular theme. Okay. But other than that, I just walking around the street.
And then it can happen. Yeah. Okay, I love that. I love that.
Maybe all the artists probably have that kind of moment,
I mean, I've had moments like that before when I'm like walking and I see someone with some kind of hoodie or like a t-shirt and it has a name, and then that triggers something in my mind, and then I'm like, oh, I can do this, and then
I love that.
I completely resonate with that. I definitely resonate with that. Yeah. I guess also what I wanted to ask you is, how do you get into your creative frequency? What's your flow state? How do you enter your, do you know Ang? Like, what's the name of the show? Oh my God. What's the name?
I want to know.
Ang. I think people who are listening will know what I mean.
I am so not really knowing.
It's an animation, and it has like different elements. Water, Avatar.
I am so surprised myself. I haven't watched it, but I know. Okay.
Well, the main character gets when he's in danger, or when his loved ones are in danger, he goes into his like avatar state. So and it's like really intense. So to rephrase this. Yes. That was like a whole separate thing. How do you get into your creative frequency, your avatar state when you're working?
It's an interesting one, actually, because I think oh my God, I hope this not sounds like a pompous or anything, like it's a pretentious.
Just say it.
But I am such a fantasizer. I am a bit like living in the dreamland 24/7 type of person. Okay. Thanks to poor Pisces Moon and Venus in Pisces.
Oh, we love astrology.
Exactly. That's what we are doing. But I think most of the time, lucky enough, that's a kind of the mind I'm living in. Mm-hmm. So I really hope I am delivering a message in this day-to-day language. But I guess when I'm in, even though then that was not exactly to get into the actual act of creative process, right? So I'm always thinking, or I'm always living this kind of imaginary world in my head. Yeah. Then that get into the frequency probably as soon as I put a pen or pencil, whatever, and started to sketch in it, and it's naturally just going. So I don't actually have, how to say, the imaginary world have to act in the real world, but as soon as act starts, that just almost like a switch just going. Doesn't. Okay,
so something in a real world, like an action or something happens, and that will trigger the
yes. Okay. But that as soon as I started to sketching something on the paper, it's naturally just I get going. It's like I'm not really having much of the sort of a problem, I guess, to get into the groove. I think, yeah.
Okay. What has been a memorable mistake that you've experienced along your journey, or even like one of your biggest challenges that you've, had to face on your journey?
I think it really hard to point it out mistakes because there's so many, every piece.
Okay.
Of my customer clients don't think it, but I saw the mistakes. But no. I every piece I learn. So that means obviously I made sort of mistake, or I could done better. But it has to be always like that. Yesterday piece is sort of always worse than today's, in my eyes.
Okay.
I always believe in the progress of skill and expression.
Yeah.
So mistake maybe really hard to say the memorable one. But I think challenges is the first one. The show you came, that was a challenge.
Really?
Yes, because it's challenges because of like purely the time. So I think from now on, I guess that was a challenge, taught me that I really needed to have enough time to actually have time to come up to the proper expression of my paintings. Because otherwise, like I have to have enough respect for my paintings. Okay. But sometimes you don't have a time and then show date is there, so I have to make it.
Yeah.
But again, those challenges I love to meet there, and then also I learn so much from it. So I'm always welcome any challenges.
Yeah. So like also, with the exhibition where we met, the biggest challenge was like being there and then interacting with people and how they view the work then.
I think more like I was really expecting that to be the best, only because I always do the best, but I try to do my best, but I haven't had a show for 2 years, I think. The last solo show I did was 2022 summer.
Okay.
And then I deliberately didn't take any offers, or I didn't want to do any show because I needed to have a little break to think about it. Okay. So the kind Monica Art offered me to do the Monica Art and Creative Review offered me to showcase my work. I really wanted to make it something that what I was thinking or feeling 2 years of like since the last show. So that was probably the challenge, that time was too short to sort of prove myself, not to the other people. Actually, I wanted to prove myself, like, okay, so what you can do then. So that was like didn't physically, only I have probably 2 weeks.
Okay, that's
short. 3 weeks total to come up to idea to create everything.
That's really short.
Yes, for the 7 big paintings.
Yeah.
That was. But
that must have been very stressful.
Well, I thought I would never make it. I was painting 9 in the morning that day.
Yeah.
Still.
Wow.
The painting, the hung in the blue one, it wasn't dry yet.
What?
Because I was still painting in the morning.
Wow.
So that was a whole lot of challenge. Time, physical time, but also to myself, like, okay, show me if you can do it.
Yeah. Okay, which is good. It's kind of like also like you're forcing yourself to step out of your comfort zone, and you need to make things, work for you.
Yes, but at the same time, this sounds like a very like not the how to say. It's just more like an athlete. I know I like this kind of challenge.
Okay,
it's a bit too much maybe, but for me it's good.
That's good. Looking back at your journey so far. What advice would you give your younger self?
I think I don't have much of that advice to my younger self who started painting. But definitely, I really want to go back to myself when she was 16 years old.
Okay.
And I say, come on, start painting now.
Mm.
Because I would get another 10 years, extra 10 years. I started painting 26 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that means I had extra 10 years.
Okay.
And then I would like that extra 10 years to reach to the point I wanted to be.
Yeah.
The skill wise, also expression wise, I wanted to reach to the point. So yeah, I would tell her strongly, don't do makeup. go to.
I mean, that's all part of your journey.
Exactly.
And that has brought you where you are now.
Very true.
You know?
Very
so you never know. If the sequence of events changed, it would have changed this moment as well.
Very true.
So you never know.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe don't
it was
change
all
the
timing.
course of the history. I might turn into a lawyer if I just start painting 16.
You know, we can do anything. Exactly. We're multifaceted human beings.
Very true,
you know?
Very true.
I guess something that I also wanted to ask you, who have been one of your biggest influences and have shaped your practice?
Mm-hmm. I guess definitely Klimt. I already mentioned Klimt. The feel of the painting of his work, obviously, the goals, obviously, the intimacy and sexuality, also about death as well. So I guess sex and death, the feeling of the human intimacy he presenting really guides me that what kind of feeling I can, or what kind of visual that deliver those feeling I'm feeling.
Okay.
So that was really the big help, to be honest.
Okay.
And then actually Klimt art book, I already have it. My dad actually gifted me when I was like 16. So I wasn't really thinking to become a painter, of course, but that was the one. And then Egon Schiele is, again, another reason is sexuality. So it comes down to always that. But vulnerability, especially his self-portrait, really feeling like rawness from his work. And I really feel like he seems very self-interest.
Okay.
And he tried to kind of, he's trying searching something. He's seeking something inside of himself. I see that. Yeah. For me, I can see that. And that's probably resonate with me. 3 people, but Francis Bacon, especially after I went to his solo show in Royal Academy, 2023, I think, or 2, I forgot. Okay. But it was phenomenal. And then I basically listened to the guide explaining his life and everything. It's quite detailed. And I realized like how he tried to express certain, again, sexuality, violence, and obviously other things. But those things I really can learn a lot from 3 of them. Yes.
Yeah. I think with Francis Bacon, because I was exposed to his work, I think when I was in art school. So this was years ago, but we went to a museum. So I grew up in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands, going to museums and stuff is not free unless like it's covered by an education system. Yeah. But anyone else that just wants to do that in their free time, they have to pay for that. So my initial interaction with art was very different. And once I started to like learn more about art, it was within, a space where I needed to learn about art. Right. So I can like write essays and stuff like that. So I remember going to the museum and I saw some of his works and I thought it was so dark and it wasn't like the figurative work. It was very like the expressionist, like very, again, I related with it, but it's also, I guess, because I was projecting my views and whatever, my feelings onto the onto the painting. But I thought it was just really beautiful, but it was so dark. Yes. It was so dark. And I remember some of my classmates, they were like, I don't like this. it's just like, because it was like a fade, you know? It's like there was no body, no nothing. It was just like paint, and then it fades into like a different color.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so, I thought it was so beautiful. And it was like the stillness, it was still very loud. I really loved that. Loud, I was like, oh. Yeah. So yeah, I can see what you mean. Okay. So since we're coming to an end, well, it's kind of like an end ritual. So I ask all of my guests, what is a quote that resonates with you, or a quote that you revisit in terms of creative hardship?
Yes.
Or hardship in general?
Yes. This is, I actually put it on my notebook because for the quote, I can't miss the one because I wanted people to get what I'm saying. Because otherwise I probably just tried to conjure up some word that doesn't make sense. Or if you have a pencil and a paper, I draw that feeling.
I love that.
But I forgot who said it, to be honest, sadly. But I really love this word. Faith is believing in things when common sense tells you not to.
Oh.
So this is exactly the La La Land, Dreamland residents, like people, artists, creative people, or doesn't need to be like actual painter or artist, but forever living in this world. I think especially I feel modern, like current days, people really expect to be act particular way. Like there's a way of sort of judgment, maybe social media, everything, but especially for artists, painter, creative people, I feel like we shouldn't really try to think common sense. Like I try to not to understand or try not to make sense of it, because otherwise I don't feel it, I start thinking, but when I don't feel it, that means I can't create a painting, because my own feeling is the source of the origin of all the painting I can create. So I always feel like, if I try to make sense of it, that's not the good way. Just believe in thing. Believe in something that you believe and stick to it, because that's the faith. And then no matter what people might think you are doing wrong, but that's exactly the faith. We need a faith in something that you do believe. And then especially for artists, definitely need that strong faith. Per se,
That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming. Also, I don't know if anyone can hear, but it's pouring. Pouring rain. I like it though.
I know,
it's a nice transition into, you know.
This is such a strong rain.
But thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your time with me.
Thank you.
I highly recommend people to go and experience the work, because it's incredible. And I highly recommend it. So where can people find you?
So currently my website is under construction. So I'm only on Instagram. It's SAKI, SAKI_TOMITA. That's the place you can actually see and reach me.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was fun.